Hi Starting Out Solitary, it's Pandora here. Today I'm subbing in for Corvus, who is your usual Wednesday host, and this week we're talking about sacred texts and what they mean to us. So I'm a little bit disappointed that Corvus can't talk about this topic this week because I think he would have made a really good video about it. He's so intelligent and well educated and well read, and I think that he would have had a lot of interesting things to say about it from his perspective. And I hope that you're not too disappointed as well that you have to hear me talk in my usual rambly way. But I'm going to try my best just for you guys to come up with a video on this topic that is hopefully interesting. So, sacred texts. A lot of different religions around the world have sacred texts, both your bigger religions and your smaller religions. And the other hosts have already talked about this a fair bit, so I won't talk about it too much. But basically, sacred texts can have different purposes within different religions. They can be there for rules and regulations and things to live by, different law and stories and myths about the religion, and different things like that. So all different religions and their sacred texts have different purposes for the people in that religion. And there's only a few that I've read. I've read a fair bit of the Holy Bible. I haven't talked too much on this channel about my Christian upbringing, but I have talked on my own channel about the fact that I was raised Lutheran. So I went to church and Sunday school and confirmation class. There wasn't too much of a heavy focus on Bible study at that time, and I wasn't raised Christian in a really strict way, like having to go to church multiple times a week or Bible studies multiple times a week or anything like that. I basically, we just went to church every week, and then when I was doing my confirmation classes, I would have confirmation class once a week for a number of weeks before I was ready to do my confirmation. So I didn't really read the Bible too much growing up. I heard Bible stories and stuff that they commonly tell to kids, but I never actually read the Bible for myself until I got older. And so I've read a fair bit of the Bible now, and I've got a different take on it than I think a lot of Christians have. And that is that I think that it can be metaphorical and allegorical and things like that, more so than literal. But that's just my personal opinion, and obviously there's a lot of different ways to interpret the Bible just based on the fact that there are so many different denominations that are based on this same sacred text. And I think that there is some wisdom to be found in the Bible. I'm somewhat of an omnist. I think that wisdom can be found in a lot of different religions and faiths and spiritual practices, and including sacred texts. So I do think that there is something to be learned from all sacred texts, and there's some sacred texts that I haven't read yet that I would like to. I would like to read the Torah and the Quran, more so out of curiosity than anything. And I also would like to read the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which I have not read yet. I'm sort of just trying to look for a good enough translation of that one. So if you, dear viewer, know of a translation of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali that you would recommend, please let me know, because I'm looking for one. And there's other sacred texts that I would like to read as well. There's the Tibetan book of Living and Dying, which I actually have on my shelf, that I haven't read yet because, the mood hasn't struck, or, something just hasn't happened for me to actually pick that book up off the shelf and have a read, which, I keep it on my shelf because realistically it could happen one day. I had a copy of Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte sitting on my shelf for years, and just somewhere out of the blue, for some reason last year, I wanted to read that, so I read that. That's right, I was watching a video of a lady doing a cover of the Kate Bush song about Wuthering Heights, so that made me think, oh, I should eventually read Wuthering Heights. So I picked it up and I finally read it. And that's a little bit off topic. Wuthering Heights is not really a sacred text unless you consider it to be so. It's certainly not the sacred text of any particular religion, but hey, there's people out there calling themselves Jedis, so why not? I mean, if that kind of English literature and books that you really enjoy are sacred texts to you, then they absolutely can be. And that brings me to talking about sacred texts in witchcraft and paganism and things like that, which is obviously the focus of this channel. So pagan religions, especially modern pagan religions, don't necessarily have a sacred text. I think there are some sacred texts and things like that in traditional Wicca, which I don't know about because I don't practice traditional Wicca and I haven't been initiated. And even eclectic Wicca has things like The Wiccan Reed, which is a poem that originated in Green Egg magazine sometime in the 70s, I think. I may be saying that wrong. I apologize if that's wrong. But, you know, people have certain sacred texts that they hold sacred for themselves. But for pagans in general, there's no hard and fast rules. There's nothing that's set in stone that this is our sacred text and that's it. And these are the rules that everybody has to live by. Witchcraft is very much something that is down to the individual. Our rules come from the heart and what we feel is right, and our ethical standards and everything like that is very much individual and based on what we think is right personally for ourselves. And everyone's mileage may vary. What's right for me as a witch may be different from another witch. And we do have certain sacred texts such as our Book of Shadows or our grimoire. So for me, my Book of Shadows is sacred to me in the sense that it's a record of things that I've learned and a kind of record of my practice as it has been over the years. Does that mean that it's set in stone and that's the way I have to always practice? No. Does that mean that my path cannot evolve or change from what I've written in the pages of my Books of Shadows? Absolutely not. My path is and my practice is changing and evolving all the time, and that's a good thing. So yes, that's about all that I wanted to say about sacred texts and what they mean to me. I did want to keep this video short because I have to upload it from my phone. My laptop is currently in at the repair guy, aka my dad, so I can't upload from my laptop at the moment. So all of my videos have to be nice and short so that they don't take forever to upload. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Starting Out Solitary.